So the discussion is Pikuach Nefesh Dechuya Shabbos. So, by being Chal Shabbos, do everything you need to do to save someone's life. So, but there's some pratim how far does it go, and do you have to try to avoid it as much as you could. But before we get into that, where we learn out the din that Pikuach Nefesh is Dechuya Shabbos is from Pasuk says V'chai b'hem. Like we're learning now, V'chai b'hem lo yishi yamas b'hem. You have to live with them. You're not supposed to die with them. It's just. And there's Yerushalmi, which talks very sharply. It says, "Hashayol, someone who comes to ask a rav if he could be mechal shabbos to save someone's life. Hashayol, hariz hashefech damim. The hanishol and the rav who is being asked, hariz anaguna. It's disgusting for him. Why? Because he should have taught people. He should make sure people know that you're allowed to be mechal shabbos. If someone has to come to ask the rav, the person's asking a shefech damim, and the person's being asked.
His job as a rav.
That's why people have to come to ask him. Mm-hmm. So you see very strong when it comes to Pikuach Nefesh. There's no cheshbonos. First thing is you have to do. You do first, and you think later. And there's a Bircha Yosef which brings this out very nicely. He says even he has a case. Someone asked a Shiloh that he saved someone's life in a way that's questionable whether Al Pi Halach is able to do such a thing. So the question was was he Aver on Isser. So he answered him, he said no, even according to the Shittas, even according to the Rambam, who says you weren't supposed to do it in such a way. Basically, the question was about these alternative, I don't know, it's in the Pesach Yis Lashon Refuah Segulis. You write a kameya you do some of these funny medicines to heal somebody. Alternative medicine will fit into that category, but the shayla was he had a certain kameya. He would write a certain refuah. Someone ate a poison, and he would give it to them, and they would spit it up. So this person wrote a kameya for someone, and he saved his life on Shabbos like that. So there's a shit of the Rambam. The Rambam says you're not allowed to be mechal Shabbos to do such a refuah on Shabbos because it's hocus pocus stuff. You can't be mechal Shabbos for concrete medicine, not for these things.
The Rambam was.
It's a machlokes in the Mishnah. In Shabbos. You're allowed to do it.
So what?
They learn.
It's a machlokes in the Mishnah.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to write a kameya in such a way. Hocus pocus medicine.
The Rambam says.
So this is for Pikuach Nefesh. So a lot of Pesachim say that if it's known to actually work, it's okay. So when the person asking, what about people saying that it's a problem because Rambam says it's also? So he says no. Even according to the Rambam, it's going to be okay. Look at the Lashon inside, right? It's very beautifully. The first Maramakim says Hacha Yira the Gam Das Harambam ain't by Isser Klal. There is no Isser. Why? The Kivan the Amr be Yerushalmi Yema Perek Ches Halacha Hey Heviu Atur Lekayman Sim Shin Chav Ches that the Pikuach Nefesh Hashayil Hariz a Shefech Damim. Someone goes to ask questions. He's a murderer. The Ein Tzarich Shus Mi Basin. You don't need to get permission in order to be Mechal Shabbos when there's a Shayla and Sakana. In Kain Zeha Ish the Savid Daleka Steika. This person he didn't know that there's a Shayla whether you could use such type of medicine. Bahal Mikasav and he wrote this Kamei Avinasan or L'Shem Mitzvah Avi and he did L'Shem Mitzvah of L'Lei Shal Rishus Kivin Ashel Shefech Damim since you're not supposed to ask Rishus. After that, Rambam in Mechal and Shabbos B'Davar Segula. Even though according to the Rambam you can't be Mechal Shabbos with Refuah Segulis, because Mach Shavtoi and Itaka works, but Aliyah Hasgula Havya Hatzos Nefesh, he saved this person's life.
What if it wasn't?
He didn't. Let's finish off.
Okay.
Near the Leis Beisach Isser, Afil Midrabanon. Even Midrabanon, even according to the Rambam, there's no Sach Isser, Lafreya Mitzvah Gdeila Asa Kanal L'Chayra. To me, even according to the Rambam, says you're not supposed to do this refuah segulis, this hocus pocus medicine. But Payil Mamish, this person didn't know there's an isser, and the din is if there's a shayla sakani, you act first. You go, you save the person's life. You don't have shaylas.
According to the Rambam, is it good medicine or not?
The kudah here is whether there was true.
No. We know it's because everyone agrees it's because the guy's dying. The Rambam saying hocus pocus is no good.
According to the Rambam, if you would ask the Rambam this moment, are you allowed to am I allowed to do this? He would tell you no. It's Chil Shabbos Midaraisa. It's Chil Shabbos Midaraisa.
It doesn't work.
What?
You're not allowed to ask.
Oh, but because you're not allowed to ask and you're supposed to go do it first. Memela, even according to the Rambam, he did the right thing. This person didn't know. He did what he knew. So even though he did something which could be also, since the din is you do first and you ask later.
This line,
Memela, he wasn't the Chal Shabbos.
I don't understand.
That he says it.
David, thank you for his setting.
He's making it stronger.
Whether this guy.
If it wasn't,
I think he's
I want to make it strong and understand. The guy did it because he thought it's going to work. So
Right.
whether it was hocus pocus, whether it worked, whether it didn't work, it should all be good. It's funny that he's saying.
Right.
But he doesn't say that.
I think
right.
So what is your question?
My question is if it was definitely hocus pocus. And
if the taka didn't work.
No.
If the taka didn't work.
No,
if the taka
for
didn't
pilot
work.
was hocus pocus and it didn't
I
work.
think
But I
the
thought it
deal is
worked.
what is highlighted.
I believe it's the same.
That's
Yeah,
the
I
deal
highlight
of
that,
this
yeah.
whole- I understand.
That's right.
But I agree.
I think the reason why he put in Alapeli saved his life, he's saying because that's what the case was. That
was very unclear.
I think the reason why he's put that in is because that was the case. He's trying to defend this person, and he's being
What if it
mankish.
wasn't? What if it was hocus
Yeah, but he
pocus?
says over here,
It will be the same thing.
but he said over here, "V'yotza machshavsoi."
That means it
That's
doesn't
what
matter
I'm
if
saying.
it works.
No, "v'yotza machshavta" means it worked. "V'yotza machshavta" means it worked.
And if it didn't work,
And it work might be a problem. I don't know.
Not the Svara.
I'm not asking
saying, what if he
you
died?
a svara. I'm asking you what it says. "V'yotza machshavta" means it worked.
That's what I
He's
think.
just talking about that specific case, but in general, he get it
He died.
because he
But
met.
if he died,
That's what we're talking about.
He died. It was Mahalat Shabbos. Maybe.
No,
The thing is, it's also to ask your shows.
The Sava. This looks to me that's the most important.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Stop with all that. Then he
agree.
messes it all up.
I think that's smashing. Yeah, I agree.
It looks like it's good.
Right.
Fine. So that was. So this is
I think the
Agdamos.
first explanation was better. Was better.
This is-
that that was a general statement for general. Then he goes on to this particular.
He's trying to
case.
make it strong. In this particular case, not only he was trying to save his life, he actually worked. So culture came to call of fame, right?
Fine. Finish that when it didn't work and it is hocus pocus, then I'll know for sure.
So according to
if
that,
it worked, then it wasn't hocus pocus.
Fine.
Today they make phone calls if a kid breaks his legs.
He's saying you
And
can't
you call out
If we
Solar
find
right
out
away.
later it was hocus pocus medicine.
Because I think it's
Pilot didn't
Pikuach
even
Nefesh.
work.
Is
The
that,
guy should
is
still
that
not
okay?
be dying.
that's a valid
This
thing.
person didn't
I'm
know.
sorry,
He put us in
breaking the
Pikuach
leg.
Nefesh, so I'm saying he was trying to do.
What it is, and he wrote it, I wasn't there. He wrote it to make sure that all these herbalists
Should know it doesn't work.
Not necessarily, what you're saying for the average person is correct. But it goes to talk about the various herbalists, and he was like the best doctor in his time. He knew what didn't work.
The Rambam.
Yeah, the Rambam.
But somebody
he
who thought
wrote
it did
some
work.
amateur doctors or whatever. I think that's what the point
That's the Rambam stress is that you should know there's hocus pocus out there. But when I'm thinking that something might work, that according to this is
If he conscious did what he thought was the best to do, then he's not a...
That's what he's saying.
Even if it was.
By the way, Reb David, they make experiments with fake medicine and real medicine. And many times the person gets healed with a fake medicine. Placebo, right.
Now, you just asked a question before, calling Hatzalah for a broken leg. I would ask the doctor here if, in his opinion, that would warrant making a quote Hatzalah. I think you should, because if somebody broke their leg, you don't know to what extent things are, and you're not a medical person. You're not
Is it Shaykh Hatzalah Nefashis for that?
Of course there is.
For broken.
If you have a compound fracture,
Internal bleeding, you saw the guy just twist his foot. It's internal bleeding.
Oh, he broke a leg.
Broke a leg, but you saw him break it. He didn't get internal bleeding.
you don't know what you don't know.
Is it shaykh for
These are
a
questions
dresser
for a
to fall on
doctor.
somebody's foot and for him to die from it after? I don't know. That's, I guess,
These are questions for a doctor. I don't know.
But that's the point. The point is you're not a doctor.
Right.
And so therefore,
You have to make a decision.
with Suffolk, you
have to make a
with
decision.
Suffolk, you're supposed to.
So
at first.
this is only the Hakdama for the share. So this is only the Hakdama to lay out the Yisay that when it comes to the Pikuach Nefesh, the Yisay is you do first and you think and you actually ask Shilas later. Fine. So next the Shaila is console. Anything which is Pikuach Nefesh is partial. I do whatever you need to do. The Shaila comes up in the Poskim is what? There's certain tzrachim. You have someone who is chiddush sakana, and he needs certain things, but it's not a make it or break it. It's not going to save his life. Someone who's sick. A chayla sheish by sakana, but you want to do. He has other needs. He wants some hot food. He has other things.
Anything to make him comfortable.
Could he be Machal Shabbos for other needs as well, or only Machal Shabbos for needs that are life-threatening?
That's a Mishnah.
So there's a Tshuva from the Radbaz who writes about this. So he says in the he says in the second Malmakim says Shayla Sha'alta Imutra Lasi is the Chayla Sheish Bisakana B'Shabbos Dvarim She'im Behem Tzedek Kolkach. It's not such a big tzedek. Are you allowed to do this for a Chayla Sheish Bisakana? So he answers, he says, Ha Lisa. He says, if there isn't such a big tzedek, then Ha Lisa. V'adei de inkan sat sakanas nefashis. If for sure no sakanas nefashis, you can't be mechal Shabbos for such a thing. But he says you have to be careful. He says you have to be careful. Av b'dvarim sheish behem ksas tzedek. Efsher she'im lo yisasa. Listen. Can we finish? Let's finish. Av b'dvarim sheish behem ksas tzedek. Efsher she'im lo yisasa lehadvarim sheish behem ksas tzedek. Yavil dvarim sheish behem tzedek harvei. Alright, davar you do it. I feel suffix sveika deichas hashabbos. If you have,
so once you're in the
meaning,
once you're in the with a Pikuach Nefesh, he's basically saying
you have
do whatever
you have to know
you need to do, even to make him comfortable with whatever it is.
So in other words, someone who's in a matzah of sakanas nefashis, he's in a very sensitive situation. So a lot of things which normally aren't sakana or which aren't davar mesukon, but add this to the pile of problems he has, like it can make things a lot worse. So like that, so you have to be very careful. So even things which seemingly v'chitzonius, it's not as a davar shein b'sakana, but a person such a sensitive massive, you have to be very careful. These things could add up to.
As long as it's more than 8 tzedek kol kach.
It's a real tzedek. Something.
It's a little more than tzedek kol kach. Tzad tzedek is already do it.
Something which is a real tzedek, even though the chayda pehashas it's not a sakana. But a person is already in a very, very sensitive situation. You have to be very careful.
What I see a lot of
things
is mamish totally in your own shikul adas, literally.
Yeah,
it's mamish. It's unbelievable how they give you such ilchei Shabbos, deichei Shabbos in your own shikul adas.
So you can't.
You're in a situation. You have.
There's no one else. There's no one else.
There's no way to give any clear.
It's very powerful. Think about it.
That's why we have to learn the halachas here. So this is the advance, but the shayla comes up. A lot of the places we're still discussing. Let's say certain things which you know for sure there is no sakanas nefashis. There is no for sure sakanas nefashis, but it's a tzedek. I'm not sure what's a good dogma for this. I'm not sure there's the right dogma, but let's say someone's in a hospital bed, he's uncomfortable. The bed is. I'm not sure if this is the right dogma, but if the hospital bed isn't in the right position, it's bothering him, it's hurting him. So I'm not sure if that would be fall into the seirach. Maybe that's something where there's for sure no makim sakanas nefashis. If it's hurting them, they're in.
Let me tell you something. You should never know from it, but people who are in the hospital and don't feel comfortable don't get better.
So you're saying that may be included with our advance?
I believe so.
That's right. So yeah,
maybe change the channel. Well,
so there,
the
TV.
That is basic. So the shayla comes up is when we say Pikuach Nefesh Deicha Shabbos is Shabbos Dechuya or Hutra? Those are lamda sha'isius. Is Shabbos Dechuya or Hutra? Meaning, do we say that just like even though you're not allowed to do melacha on Yom Tiv, but melacha seichel nefesh you're allowed to do on Yom Tiv, so you're allowed to cook as much as you want. We don't say they have to minimize the cooking. Only cook at b'machal Yom Tiv as the least as you can. Only cook a little bit. You cook up a whole feast. You do everything you need. So do we say the same thing on Shabbos? That once Pikuach Nefesh Deicha Shabbos, it's heter gomer. You do everything you need. There's no shaylas. You don't need to try everything is fine. Or do we say that it's Deicha Shabbos? It's Hakavi Machal Shabbos. Therefore, you try to minimize, and therefore, something which isn't a real tzedek, the person is not going to be, his life isn't going to be endangered. It's a tzedek, but it's not going to be endangered. You shouldn't be Machal Shabbos. So this is what it boils down to. So this machlek is the Dechuya Hutra comes up by in carbonates in Tumah. So it comes up in Gemara Yuma in the third Maramakim. Look in the Gemara. The Gemara says Itmar Tumas Hameis. Rav Nachman Amar Hutrahi Betzibur. Tumas Hameis, carbon tzibur is Deicha Tumas Hameis. He says it's Hutra. If you have Pesach. If you have Tamei Koyanim and you have Tahar Koyanim, do you have to go do a dafka with the Tahar Koyanim, or could you use even the Tamei ones? So it's machlekes. Rav Nachman Amar Hutra he b'tzibur. It's heter gomer. You could even use the tamei kayanim. Rav Sheshes Amar Dechuya he b'tzibur. Carbon tzibur. No, it's a carbon.
Loiv means one more person after the half.
Carbon tzibur.
You have 1,000 people.
No, it's carbon tzibur. Dechuya, but last is im Hutra he betzibur. Talking about a carbon of the tzibur. Carbon of a yachid. Carbon of a yachid is not the chetuma though. Carbon of a tzibur is the deiches.
Wow, are you sure that's the Gemara? So you're saying is by any carbon tzibur you could even have tamei kayanim.
Right. Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I thought Rav tzibur was tamei. Then it's not that.
I don't think so. What's the matter? What matters is the kayanim. It doesn't matter what the tzibur is. And so the Gemara goes on weiter. It says, the Gemara goes weiter. The Gemara goes weiter. Ika de Amri, afil hecha de Ika tahirin utmein. And some people want to taish that when do we say that afilu hecha de Ika tahirin utmein, even if you have Torah and Tamei people, Bahu Beisav, in the same Beisav, they're both in the Beis Mikdash at the same time. Pali Rav Nachman, still Rav Nachman, but his argument says, "V'amar avdi nami tmein." Even though you have mamish, you have the Torah kayanim and the Tamei kayanim, both of them are mamish in front of you. They're right in front of you. Still, lechatchila, you can take the Tamei kayanim. The kol tumas meis betzibur rachmana sharia. Any tumas meis when it comes to carbon tzibur, the Eibush is matter. So the Samach Sada says totally on this is the machlekes whether other things which isn't which there is no sakanas nefashis, but it's a real tzedek, whether you're allowed to do this for a chilash sheish beisakana. So what are the makaides? What do the Pesachim say?
What's the chilek if it's Dechuya
by this is the question we just brought up. Something which there's for sure no sakanas nefashis, but it's a real tzedek. It's something that the chila needs.
I don't know if that'll be a chilek if it's Dechuya or Hutra.
There's a machlekes.
If it's Hutra, maybe only what I'm allowed to do is mutter. If it's Dechuya, only what I'm allowed to do is chuya.
It's machlekes between Rashi and the Magid Mishnah whether you're allowed to do tzarachim sheim ben yasim sakana. Something if it's not a sakana, if you don't give it to him, it's for sure there's for sure absolutely no sakana, but it's a real tzedek. He needs
and that's based on Dechuya and Hutra.
So they argue. The Tzemach Tzedek explains that this machlekes is totally on Dechuya or Hutra.
What's the difference? If it's Hutra, it's mutter, and if it's Dechuya, it's mutter.
No, because if it's Dechuya, meaning that means be'etzem you are doing Isser. Every time you're doing, if you say it's Dechuya, that means every time you do something to save time, you're being over on Isser. Elamai, the Eibush said it's okay. It's worth it.
I'm not allowed
so
to.
And I say
Hutra
if you are doing Isser,
Hutra only when I'm allowed. I can't do something I'm not allowed for him.
Dechuya means you are doing.
Hutra means all restrictions are gone.
Dechuya means you are doing Isser.
It's like Yom Tov, cooking for Yom Tov. He said
you're not doing Isser.
No restrictions. No, don't bring your own opinion. That's what it explains.
Let me say again.
Could somebody else eat when I cooked for a chayla? That'll make a difference if it was Hutra in my mind.
You don't have to
let
be
me say it again.
That's Hutra when I'm doing something.
Let me say it again. Let me say it again in other words. Let me say it again. Dechuya means that you are doing Isser. Elamai, the Eibush said it's okay. Hutra means that you are not doing Isser. Today is a weekday. It's not Shabbos for him.
What is the chilek when I'm actually doing something for the chayla on Shabbos?
Because if
is the chilek only what I'm going to do for other people later for them to be
even for the chayla, no, even for the chayla himself, even for the
chayla himself. Can you put a big pot of soup, or do you have to make a little pot of soup?
That's what I'm saying now. That's not what you said before. You were saying before if I allow Hutra to chuya,
there's a few.
I'm allowed to cook for the chayla. I'm allowed to cook.
You don't have to think anything that you have to do. You don't have to start thinking how much should I do, what should I do, how can I do it. Just do it.
I asked for an example. So the example would have been a big pot and a small pot. Now I'm listening.
So the example.
You're talking.
It's one example. Other things. It's one example.
For the chayla itself, it won't make a difference. For the chayla itself,
even for the chayla. Also, the second side.
I'm going to be allowed to do the exact same thing. The question is how I do it, and do I do it more?
There's a few nafkamin.
Let the rabbi say something.
There's another nafkamin. If I could do it in a shini, if I need to do malacha deraisa, if I could do it in an unusual way, I could do it with my elbow, flip on the switch with my elbow.
Now we're talking, but I can do it. But the same being done is going to be done. That's what I wanted to bring out. What we tried saying, Hutra and Dechuya, the same action is going to be permitted.
But the shaila is, so if you say it's Hutra means that there. Hutra means that
I could do more by Hutra and Dechuya. That's what I wanted to bring.
What do you mean by saying more?
Should I could do more things.
No, yes.
Like what?
No shikol hadas. That's the difference.
Do whatever has to be done. Don't think.
You all say the same thing.
What do you mean more? What do you mean when you say more? What do you say
more? Could I do more Isurim when it's Hutra than Dechuya? Could I do more Isurim? I'm asking you.
What's the example?
That's what we're saying right now. We're gonna read inside. It's Machlikas Rashi and the Maggid Mishnah. Well, we're going to first of all read Rashi. Rashi says that it's Masha from Rashi. It's also, and we'll see the Maggid Mishnah, the Masha that it's mutter. The fourth matter makim is a Gemara. The Gemara is talking about Chila She'ein Beisakana. The Gemara says Chila She'ein Beisakana Eimer L'Goy Va'isa. You're allowed to have a guy do anything you need for a Chila She'ein Beisakana. Says Rashi. Rashi says, so what does it mean? Tzarche Chila. If you don't do for him this refuah, ein mesukan lamus. He's no sakhan that he's going to die if you don't do this refuah for him. But nevertheless, he taka needs it. So the base says in Medayik from the Rashi says, Shein liyasir refuah zu. We're talking about chayla. If you don't do this refuah, he's not going to die. It's mashma if you don't it's mashma that it's a chayla sheish beisakana. If you don't do a different refuah, he is going to die.
No, he already said chayla shein beisakana. We're talking
about Rashi.
We jumped to 3. We said
about Rashi, but you see from Rashi's mashma. Rashi's talking about even a chayla sheish beisakana, right? Because he says. The Gemara says, but Rashi is teaching that not that the person is no aim by sakana, but this refuah. There's no sakana in this refuah, in this action. Look in Rashi.
I hear you, but
look what Rashi says. Look what Rashi says. Rashi says, if you don't do this refuah for him, he's not mesukan lamus. So even though he talking is a different refuah. I know. I highlighted it.
Because he says the base. He also doing the tactic in Rashi. So
he says this Medayik. He says it's mashal in this Rashi that refuah, which even though it's a chiddush ish sakana, if this medicine is not, there's absolutely no sakanas in the fashis.
Imagine the Gemara could have said it a little easier for us to understand than saying chiddush ish sakana. It could have said a different word to tell us that what this refuah is.
Rashi is pointing it out. So this is
not pointing it out. It's just
it's a diak. They say it's diak and Rashi. So this is shittas Rashi, which is brought down. Okay. Where's the Maggid Mishnah? So Maggid Mishnah comes up in the Rambam. There's a din for a yeleda. Someone had a baby. You're allowed to make a fire. She needs heat from a fire. It's a very dangerous for her. She's cold. So you're allowed to light a yid is allowed to light a fire for her. But the Rambam says other chilim, you're not allowed to light a fire for them.
That's the story with Al Rebbe, Yom Kippur.
Oh yeah, but so the Rambam says only for Yeledes you're allowed to make a fire, but for other chilim you're not allowed to.
Are they sakana? They're not sakana.
Oh, so this is the question: what type of chila? What type of chila is he talking about? So look in the fifth Maramakim. The Rambam says Eisim Medura Lachaya for Yeledes you're allowed to make a fire for Vafilu V'Meisa Chama even during the middle of this with summer. Mipnei Shatzina Kasha Lachaya Harbi in Kunyas Hakari in these cold places even when it's very hot the heat cold is bad for her. And so for Yeledes, for a chai you're allowed to do it, but for a chila you're not allowed to. So the question is, what type of chila? If he's a chila sheish beisakana, you should also be allowed to make a fire for him. So look at the Maggid Mishnah. So Maggid Mishnah brings a Ravid. The Ravid wants to say that Masam Ram is talking about chila sheish beisakana. So in the Maggid Mishnah says, "B'hasagis, Ravid says, Amar Avraham, with Perikim Hakipurim, the Gemara in Yuma Perik Dalid Tanya Beheaded, we learn clearly Mechamin Lachila B'Shabbos Bein Lashkes Bein Avrese. A yid is allowed to heat up hot water for a chila b'Shabbos, whether to drink him to drink or whether to wash him down. You're allowed to heat up fires. What's the Rambam saying that you're not allowed to? So he says the Esher the chila sheish b'Sakana. The Gemara is talking about chila sheish b'Sakana. The Rambam is talking about chila shein b'Sakana.
So what's a chiddush? So what's a chiddush?
So there's not no chiddush, but the next piece is the chiddush. That's the Ravid. Now it says in Maggid Mishnah, I wanted to teach differently. I thought that you could say that Rambam's talking about the chila das rabbeinu afilu yish b'chili sakana, ein betzina sakana, the efsher b'bgadim. He wants to say that Rambam's even talking about chayla.
Needs a fire.
She needs after the fire, but a chayla, even a chayla sheyesh by sakana, who says you need to light a fire? Put a blanket on him, put warm clothes on him. Who says you have to make a fire?
That means Dechuya. That's called Dechuya.
This is how you see Sover the Farish. He wanted to say this, but he goes on. He says, "Av ani mevatel daiti mipnei daiti." I'm mevatel my das before the Ravid, right? Because the Ravid is teaches the Rambam that even that for chiddush he could make a fire. Why the fish she'im hu she'ish b'sakana ha'mashma delachol tzrachav mechalin. It's mashma mechal Shabbos for all of its tzrachim. Va'afal pi she'im b'mnias davar she'isim lo sakana. Even though this thing which you're doing for him, there's no sakana. If you don't hold it back from him, it's mashma you're allowed to be mechal Shabbos for all of his tzrachim, for anything. Anything which is real tzorach, even though there's for sure no.
This tells you Hutra Dechuya. I don't see any of that.
That's called Hutra.
That's called Hutra. Why? Because I can even use a blanket.
No, I can even use a fire.
Any thought, you do whatever it is.
The Tzemach Tzedek teaches that this is based on the machlekes of Dechuya Hutra.
Dechuya, every item you have to say, oh, is this pushed off? Is this pushed off? Is this pushed off? I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to try to minimize. If you say it's Dechuya, you have to minimize. You have to minimize as much as you could.
You make food.
So this is
the only thing you have to be careful of is for Matzah Yom Tov. In other words, if you there shouldn't be harama for after.
Harama means you're thinking already. We said no thought. You say no thought. Now you're thinking.
So this is what's up psak halacha. What do we do? So Alter Rebbe on the 6th Maramakim, Alter Rebbe makes a hachron. He says, "L'chatchil you should try to do it al yidei goy." You look in the 6th Maramakim. Alter Rebbe says, "That's psak." And he says, "B'davar she'im b'niyasei shum sakana klal, yesh la'seisi al yidei nachri." L'chatchil you should do it through a goy. Af im yesh locha she's atzal ksas. Even there's a chashash that the goy might come to cross a little bit, and therefore you want apple. And be'im ein shum, still you should do it through a goy. Af im ein shum nachri klal. If there is no goy at all, yesh lis mechal svari sheino. You should try to be machmir, do it through a guy. But if there's no guy over there, you could be machal Shabbos yourself for something which is a real tzedek.
He wants to shudder kalchila through a guy.
We're talking about davar she'im niyasei sakana. Davar she'im niyasei shum sakana.
Call it what you want. Call it chayla she'im sakana. Call it chayla she'yesh sakana. That with this thing
when Atzola is doing a lot of things, they have to start thinking. This guy, this is not a guy.
Legabe, this thing that you want to do, he's an Eibei Sakana.
Okay, Atzola is a whole other story. I'm saying it's
What Atzola?
What?
So Atzola is able to do Pikuach Nefesh all day long.
I know, but that's why. Since I'm doing it all day long, they're going to start making cheshbonis.
Eibei Sakana, it's not even an issue.
But this thing that you want to do, you know it's an Eibei Sakana. You know it's an Eibei Sakana.
I'm asking, so Atzola has to start making cheshbonis and calculation. This by a guy, this is not by a guy.
They don't. The doctor does.
The guaranteed it's ain't by sakana. That is what Six is talking about. If a guy complains.
So look, wait. Alter Rebbe goes weiter. Let's finish now. Let's finish what Alter Rebbe says. Alter Rebbe says you should do it al yegoi. If there's no goy maker, then you could do it yourself. Mikal makin kol bal nefesh yachar shal asmi b'isur shal teira. Kol bal nefesh should be machmir for himself with isur shal teira. So that means you should try to bal nefesh should try to avoid it. Could be this on your own cheshbon. I don't know if it should be machmir. Bal nefesh should be machmir on someone else's cheshbon.
Well, that's the point here.
But Alter is saying
you could grab a blanket or light a fire. It's probably quicker to grab a blanket.
But the Alter doesn't point it out over here. But there's another point. The point, even if you don't have a goy, Yid could do any melacha b'shinui. If you do it with kalachar yad, you do it with a shinui. That's also for a chayla shem b'sakana. You're allowed to do any melacha for him. You're allowed to do it in an unusual way because it's issur d'rabbanan, and you're doing it in an unusual way. So the same thing would apply over here. So Alter Rebbe says that you should do it al yidei goy, but if you don't have a goy, you could also next best thing would be to do it with a shinui. Yesh b'sakana.
Davar she'im
b'mniyasei shum sakana. This thing that you're giving him. The thing you're giving
this particular thing, is a chodesh shesh b'sakana. We talk about can you do things which you don't have sakana to him. To make him comfortable, to put him the right TV channel.
So that's how to say that.
Just tease again.
No, I mean the Kamashman doesn't say Hutra.
Oh, so Alter Rebbe Takeb Haskins Dechuya, and he Takeb Haskins Dechuya.
That's the difference.
By ein beisakana.
What? By ish beisakana.
Yesh beisakana she'ein beisakana.
We're talking about ish beisakana. By a davar. The person is in a situation. This person, he's in a situation of sakana.
Action. That's not sakana.
That means if I don't do this thing, I don't accomplish this thing at all.
closer to four.
But it's a chaylish yesh by
He's in a situation of sakana safashis. He's in the hospital. He's on a respirator. He's a chaylish yesh by sakana. But this thing you're doing for him, you're bringing him a hati. That's not. That's not. There's no sakana safashis in that. I don't know if that's a tzedach, the hati, but whatever. I just made up a dogma, and so that's the psak of the Alter Rebbe. And the next shaila. So that's the first discussion. The next thing is when you be mechal Shabbos for a chayla, do you have to try to? You need to do malacha deraisa. Should you try to do an unusual way? Should you try to flip the switch with your elbow, with the back of your hand? The Alter Rebbe was talking about something where there is no sakana safashis for this thing, right? This thing there is no sakana safashis. So
7 is where there is a sakana safashis.
7, yeah, we're talking 7. The shayla is something where there is sakana safashis. You have to do it for him. Should he try to minimize and do it in an unusual way with a shinui? So it comes back. Boys on the same machlekes. We say Dechuya or Hutra. So what are the svaras for either way? So look in the 7th Maramach. The Gemara says. This Gemara says, "Tan Rabbanan im hisat tzricha l'shemen chaverta mevia l'shemen biyad." If it's talking about a yeledes, who someone's having a baby, they need to bring oil. So what should you do? So the Gemara says you should bring an unusual way. Dip your hand in the oil and bring it on your hand, and instead of bringing it in the actual jug. And then it goes on by the v'im sipek biyad. If you can't bring enough on your hand, maybe a beside them. Put it deep in your hair, or maybe tie the kli on. Maybe dip it in your hair. I'm not sure. Maybe dip your hair in it. The im ain't sipek beside. If it's not enough oil, you can't bring enough in your hair. The v'yala b'kli, then fine, bring it in the actual kli.
The question is more. אז היא ברקתי בסיירס, מדף ולשחוק. מדף ולשחוק,
זה
יותר גרוע מאשר לטלטל.
The Gemara asks a shayla. The Gemara asks a shayla. I don't remember the titus. Maybe in schita besar. Maybe I don't remember what the answer was.
So much that it drips out. I
don't remember. The Gemara asked a question. I don't remember what the Gemara answered.
Is a 3/4 will be spelled then.
So what's the so you see for a yeled, if someone's having a baby, you have to minimize the chil shabbos as much as you could. So the shayla is, what about other chil sheish b'sakana? This is applied to everyone. So look in the 8th.
Why not? Where do you see a difference between the yeled?
So we'll see. So first of all, the Ramban says in Achinani. The Ramban says like you. We'll see. The Mag Mishnah says different, but the 8th Maramach, the Mag Mishnah brings down the Ramban. He says this applies to all every chayla. He says because of Ramban zav shamina mina the kol tzeiche chayla afal pi sheish bei chayli sakana even the sakana safashis hecha de'ef shemi avilav malacha b'shinoi as long as you do it in a with an unusual way shaleis chal b'Shabbos meshanin vein mechalin. You should do an unusual way, and you shouldn't be mechal Shabbos. But who shaleis acher tzeiche chayla chayla klal b'shinoi
whatsoever to the chayla.
So, yeah. So once we're getting into this situation, you have to. We said before, we brought from the Mag Mishnah that when it comes to fashes, though, the attitude is you do first and you ask later. So you can't make too many cheshbonis. But if it's not a big deal, there's no rush, and you can do it in the usual way. So the Ramban says you should do it with the shinui.
First of all, that was sakana safashis. This is a chaylish yesh.
We're talking about sakana safashis. Yeah.
Is a chaylish yesh b'sakana mamish? Is it
sakana
a separate yesh?
safashis.
No,
Same
there's only
thing.
two.
Same thing.
Chaylish yesh b'sakana, chaylish ein b'sakana.
They're close, yeah. And it says, go weiter, the Mag Mishnah argues. Mag Mishnah argues. He says, Miloshan Rabbeinu from the Rambam Zal, Minir she'ein chaylish yesh b'sakana b'chlal hashinui ela hachaya. That's why he says from the Rambam it's mashma that this day you need an unusual way. Is only for a ledes.
That's only for warmth.
It's only for your
What's for your ledes, you have to make it a shemen.
Warmth, there's a difference.
No,
otherwise,
the shemen.
Wait, he's not talking about the fire. I'm talking about. I didn't quote the Rambam, but it's a different Rambam. The Rambam only brings this din that you have to do in the usual way. He only brings it by ledes. He doesn't mention about any other chayla. Other chayla sheish beisakan. The Rambam says your mechal shabbos doesn't mention anything about shinui. She says not from the Rambam that it's a special din by Ledes, not by other
You have to be
chaylas.
more machmir.
By Ledes.
Don't forget if it needs to be less machmir.
Why?
No,
So the question is why.
Listen.
Says
Ba'atam b'zeh.
Ba'atam b'zeh, says the Maggid Mishnah.
I'll give you the time why you have to be
Mipnei shekav hayledes v'chavlea hem kedavar v'shekav hayledes v'chavlea hem kedavar tivilo. It's a natural thing. It's a normal thing. Ve'in achas me'al mesa. Now one
So we found something already that's bad for a chayy. Now you want to say
Let him finish.
Let me finish. Ve'in achas me'al mesa. The going through labor and giving birth. I didn't finish. Ve'in achas me'al mesa. Not one out of 1,000 dies. Therefore, they were machmir that by ledes. Therefore, they were machmir. Therefore, they were machmir by ledes, but they have to. Whereas by other chayla she'im by sheish by sakana, it's heter gomer.
We just learned 5 minutes
By
ago.
a fire, tzinakoshelo.
Oh, so we found somewhere where
That's
your
right.
lettuce is
Think
stronger.
by a fire, by oil. You have to do to the shinui
Why?
because it's not so bad. It's not
That's
so
because
bad.
a lettuce
Where
is
do you see your lettuce is weaker than a regular chayla? I show you where your lettuce is stronger, that I can make a fire for her. And where are you going to show me that she's weaker?
That one aspect, one good. That's it.
She's weaker.
What do you mean by
aspect that she's weaker? That's the only
and
by a cold? And only by Mekoyim Sakori. In Africa, you can't make a fire to your lettuce.
Right, now show me the aspect how you know your lettuce is less. Without just saying your lettuce ain't echad mesa. Either she is a regular or she's not.
She's a choyle shesh b'sakone, but you need to do it to the shinui. Only by a fire.
She's different than shesh b'sakone. Only legabi heat she's worse. Now you make a whole new cloud.
Yeah.
The Ramban makes it very simple that she's the same. She's a chayla.
He only spoke about a
Can I answer your
fire.
question?
Yeah.
We said before the Maggid Mishnah doesn't teach the Rambam like that. The Maggid Mishnah teaches that even for a chayla sheish b'sakona you could light a fire. When the Rambam says you can can't light a fire for a chayla, that's talking about a chayla she'im b'sakona. Right there in the end, the Maggid Mishnah teaches like the right. That when the Rambam says you can't light a fire for a chayla, that's talking about a chayla she'im b'sakona.
Is a chayla she'im or not?
Chayla is a chayla sheish b'sakona.
But now you have to make a big but to make a whole drush. But she's not really like anyone else because ein echad me'elef mes. So she's not really a chayla she'esh b'sakana. So she's not a chayla she'ein b'sakana.
Therefore, Meikar then you can do whatever you need to do for it. You can do whatever you need to do. Elamai chacham or since it's a natural thing. If it's not a big deal and it doesn't make a tircha and it doesn't make a meshuga, everything is fine. Everything is fine, so then you should try to do it in an unusual way.
Yeah, go with that gedder, ein echad mes, then take her out of the gedder of chayla she'esh b'sakana. Go with your ein echad mes.
It's not enough to take her out of the chayla she'esh.
Ein echad me'elef mes.
One from Elef, one from the Emizush.
I'm going to throw, let's throw another thing. It says over here by Yom Kippur it says, if you're allowed to fast, you say by the fruit, and something by Tisha B'Av. If it's the first 3 days, it's one din. Even no matter what she says.
Yeah.
She has to. If the first 3 days.
Even if she says she doesn't need it, you give it to her.
You have to. She must eat.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd to the 7th day depends what she says.
If she says she needs it, then you give it to her.
Right. And if she does, okay. And after 7 days, no matter what she says.
She's a chayla she'im b'sakana after the 7th day.
Well, maybe there's over
No,
here.
but that's already she's out of chayla. We're talking when she is a chayla she'esh b'sakana.
No, so I'm saying by the first 3 days.
She is a chayla she'esh b'sakana.
Does this apply? Does this apply by the first 3 days?
No, we're saying she's a chayla she'esh b'sakana.
The first 7 days. All 7 days.
Because ein echad mes. She's a fake chayla she'esh b'sakana.
She is a what?
A fake
No, but I'm asking.
No, she's a specific chayla she'esh
I'm saying the first 2 days of Chayla she's
comes together.
I'm saying she surely is a point.
I'm
saying, of course, the first 2 days we make her eat. Then the first 2 days she's surely a
Are you saying?
No, he's saying even in the first 3 days, you would say you could do.
You're asking is after she gives birth? Is she just like any other chayla she'esh
Is this talking about the first 3 days, the 4th to the 7th day?
That's all. Pashas is all. Pashas is all 7 days.
The first 3 days, how can you say echad le'mes? You're saying but lachatzilah that she can't, and she's not allowed to fast. Even on Yom Kippur, which is midiraisa.
Any chayla she'esh b'sakana is not allowed to fast. Any chayla she'esh b'sakana is not allowed to fast. Not only a lettuce. Any chiddush sheish b'sakana.
But you're not saying.
Chiddush of here is that we know the din is that we know for sure in the first 3 days chiddush b'sakana. So even if she says that she's okay, we don't listen to her because we know the facts are that there is a sakana.
He never went to Chevla that you would say the foot is what I call it. That's what they say because it says kedav and tivi love and
but it's true. But it's true. Where's the doctor?
So the pale so what's
the Ramban is very the Ramban says it's like any other chayla.
So what's the din?
But it's a funny thing, but it says
so similar.
The woman is mishpat. There's a mishpat over there. So the the thing is so the dinner. What do you do? Yeah, only for good.
So dinner. What do you do? So there's a lot of So there's the first thing you have to be very careful and practical. This even if you want to be machmir to the shinui, that's very practical. You start thinking and making cheshbonis, so you're going to end up messing things up. And you have to do first and act later. You can't make cheshbonis, and also you have to be careful. A lot of times people think that you start doing it the shinui. Sometimes people think that you're not really allowed to be mechal Shabbos, and that's why you have to do it the unusual way. So that's another svara why you shouldn't do it. Why you should have to do it a normal way. Sometimes if people do it the unusual way, the ladies don't. There are other people around.
The other chassid won't save the person.
People,
the next person. Which
that's why the Taz also writes very sharply. The shaila and the people about goy. If you could be if you could do it al yidei goy, it's better to do it through a goy. So besides that, it could be the goy is going to kratz and other problems. But even the goy is not going to kratz, and it's going to be done just as well. But you have to be careful. People see you calling a goy, people are going to think you're not allowed to be mechal Shabbos. So I would say
there's always
the Rambam says you should be mechal Shabbos al yidei goy gedolei yisrael v'chachmeim. The biggest time the chacham should go. That's why, because
you're always worried you're
even when there is no problem.
That's why they make it so long.
Even when
think that you're not allowed to do it.
Even when there is no problem.
To do it, so that people should know they shouldn't hesitate. That if in such a situation they should run and do it.
You have to make sure there's no more sfeikas. Also, another thing when it comes to Yeledis, like every try to be might be student, you have to make sure it's not on the cheshbon of the Yeledis. Like you have to go.
That goes without question.
I had a discussion. Someone just had.
Someone
just had a baby, so they told me they started labor on Friday. The question was to go there on Shabbos night or to go there earlier on Shabbos Friday. So their doula told them to go later on Shabbos night, and I don't know. So I was told apparently if you go to the hospital early before the labor, if you go early, apparently the lady gets nervous and it slows down the labor. So it slows down the labor, makes things complicated, and there's not going to be normal. You're going to be stuck there for a long time. You're not going to have normal food. It's going to be a lot of tzaras. So even though you want to be ma'it to chil Shabbos, and theoretically it's better to go to hospital before Shabbos. But if the labor is not that advanced, you have to keep in mind that you're making a lot of dafka. It could be you're making things worse. Yeah, even though you want to do shinuyim and you want to do things differently, but it can't be. You have to be careful. It can't be on the cheshbon of the Yeledis. Fine, whatever. There's more, but we're over time, so we'll stop here.
Did we finish?
Whatever. There's just sure there's a discussion. Whatever, we can start venturing. I'll just say outside. Another part of the discussion is Chayla needs to eat. He needs to eat meat. The strife is: should you shecht for him or should you feed him on a vela? Which issue should he do? So that's the pale. The din is you give him the shecht for him. You don't give him the nevelon. Besides for the shayv Dechuya Hutra, if you say it's Hutra, then you can do everything you need. You can even shecht for him. There's no problem. But besides for that, even if you hold that as Dechuya, but there's also problems. If the person's going to be discussed about eating a nevelon, he's not going to eat properly.
What if he won't know?
So what if he won't know? Then I'm saying the Radbaz writes Dilma Yivadalei. The Radbaz writes could be he'll find out afterwards and he'll get grossed out. It'll be so.
That's a good mental.
And
he's going to find.
And not only that, the Ran also writes that you have to. Even though you want to say Shabbos is more chamer because it's a skidla and a treif is a lav, but when it comes to eating treif, you're over on every kazayis. So if you want to see tainis, it's kama what you do kamas for eichos. The Ran says that eichos is more chamer. Doing a lot of his surin is more chamer than.
Which one was the Sharid?
They're both right.
A summer shane taka say that treif is more chamra because you see that by a tzaddik in a kaddish baruch maybe zakal al yade it's isser meguna. The Eibusher is make sure that the Eibusher make sure that a tzaddik will never eat something treif. Could be he'll do sort of maybe.
Yeah, give me the plates.